And here we go. We should be live. Excellent. So we'll just wait a couple of minutes for everyone to start rolling in. We're a few minutes from the hour. And I am starting off by saying a very big thank you to John. He has famously joined us for one of our well-loved live Q&As. So before we get started, I'm going to do a bit of a brief introduction for those of you who are new to the story, and then we'll dive into some housekeeping. So first and foremost, welcome crime fiction friends. If you're here, you clearly have a taste for high stakes action and razor sharp wit and a little bit of justice, Mort style. And I'm Catherine, your host for tonight's interrogation, or should we say Q&A. And I'm sure we'll have a thriller of a session ahead. So before we get started, if you do have any issues with the microphone or if your connection is glitching, please let us know in the comments. We do have a tech team on hand who are able to assist you. I also wanted to let those in the replay know that we are going to be answering questions even outside of the live. So feel free to drop your questions either in the comments or in the email reply, and we'll get back to you where possible. So yes, just feel free to flag that with us. So yes, without further ado, we are almost on the hour. So first up, I thought I would take a moment to introduce the mastermind himself, A.J Wilton, for those of you who may be new to the series or would like a refresher. So this man who, much like Mort, knows how to juggle some high-pressure situations, only instead of dodging bullets, he's running two businesses, crafting political thrillers, and somehow still manages to outmaneuver the chaos of Queensland's crime underworld, on paper at least. So AJ has started writing during the great lockdown of 2020, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. But don't let this hobby author fool you, because Mortice, the series, has kept us all on the edge of our seats, with political corruption, bikie gang power struggles, and hacking intrigue so gripping that you'd think he moonlit this as a detective himself. So yes, we are thrilled to have you all joining us on another live Q&A. And before we dive into the juicy questions that we've been receiving from each of you, and keep them rolling, please, I would love to do a quick recap on a recent read-along we hosted, which it introduces the lovely Nina here. So for those of you who may be new to the series, we like to host read-alongs in which a group of committed readers follow along the story and enjoy a chapter and discuss that chapter amongst ourselves and share it on social media. And one of these lovely readers is Nina. So a huge shout out to everyone who dove first into the latest installment, Book 3. And we appreciate all of your theories, discussions, heated debates, and also we had a lot of conversations around whether Pig is the true main character. And we also had some amazing wins and prizes this time around, which brings me to my partner in crime tonight, Nina, who will be co-hosting this session and asking some great questions that I'm sure will keep AJ at the edge of his seats. So with all that said, to recap, we will be grilling John on all things Mort, Pig, and his writing secrets. I know that's a favorite topic for many of you. And also what's next for our favorite justice-seeking vigilante. And then once that Q&A is over, we'll be opening up the seats for each of you to answer your questions. So stay tuned, keep them coming, and we're excited to get started. All right, so that's enough of my spiel. Thank you, everyone, and we will basically get started. So for now, let's crack open the case and see what secrets A.J. Wilton is willing to share. I'll hand it over to you, Nina.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me on this as well. I really appreciate it. So John, first question, so where does the inspiration for Mort and Pig come from? Could you tell us how you got your inspiration, as well as their adventures, and how long was it in the making before you put them on paper?
I guess the inspiration doesn't seem the right word, but the stories formed, I guess, go back a step. Running one small business is a challenge. Running two triples that challenge. there's always issues that you've got to handle, challenges you've got to conquer. And if you're not careful, you know, the business or the decisions that you need to make can take over your life. And so I've found the only way, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning when your mind's going around all the problems that you've got to sort out, I found it, I had to get something away from to get my mind off work. So I started these sort of little stories, and then one day I thought, excuse the French, stuff it, I'm going to start writing these down. And it's a nice little story, actually, because I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my wife. I told no one because I was a bit embarrassed. I might put these thoughts down and might be, you know, ridiculous. And one of my daughters is a avid reader of similar gene as I enjoy. So after I'd written, I think it was 60,000 words or something, on the quiet, I gave it to her and said, here, have a read of this. Don't tell anyone and tell me what you think. 2 days later, she's a fast reader, I get a text at dinner time. Love it. When will I see the rest? And so my wife says, what's all that about? And I had to tell her then that I'd been, and you know, she just assumed I'd been working at night like every other day. And so, and that's how the first book came about. It took 9 months from first words to self-published, and I self-published under the first 2 books under a non-de-plume, and then my other daughter that circulated the manuscript for book 1 to 3 publishers, and I got 2 offers back from that. So I was pretty wrapped in that. I chose one, and then after the first book, they agreed and gave me contracts for up to 4, and 4 became 6, and then the publisher went bust. So I'm back to self-publishing now, but I've got a great support team behind me that take all the hassle out of that. So
fantastic.
So I think that answers your question.
It does. No, and that's brilliant. The absolute brilliant answer, and thank you. No, and I know you said not inspiration, but no, I do think it's inspirational, and you know, and keep going at it, and especially like you said, you got a contract and then it went bust. I think it's fantastic. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. We can certainly see where Mort gets his secrecy from. Thank you so much, Nina. Did you have some other questions that you'd like to share with John?
Yes. So you mentioned a few minutes ago, like within your writing, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. It's some type of escapism. But within your writing routine, so you said that it takes roughly 9 months from start to finish to publish. However, within your writing, would you class yourself as something as a linear flow, that you've got it all plotted out, you know exactly what's coming next? Or would you class yourself as a pantser, that you sit down and just start to write? So what do you class yourself as?
Nina, I believe I've got 10 or 11 story lines in my head. I just have to find time to get them out. And no, I don't start at the beginning and work to the end. I'm, you know, as I said earlier, book 5 is already at the editing stage. Yeah. I'm writing book 6 at the moment, but I've actually got segments, if you like, of book 7 and 8, I think, already written. So sometimes you get a concept or a story, and it sort of you become obsessed with it. So you write it down, even though you're not quite sure where it's going to go in the storyline. So. Yeah. And certainly in book 6, I've already done something that will end up somewhere in the middle of the book, even though I'm still really in the first phase of it. So
love that.
And then the challenges will bring it all together, all these fragmented pieces. So yeah, it's fun, but as I said, in my mind, I really have all these different storylines already formulated. So
brilliant, thank you. My next question for you so is about your genres. So the genre at the moment is mainly spy, action, thriller. However, what other genre, if there is any, would you like to write, and is there anything currently in the making outside of Pig and Mort? Are you allowed to tell us that, or is it a secret?
It's a secret. But there's a couple of potential offshoots from the series that I'm in concept, if you like, at the moment.
Okay.
And then a totally different concept as well. So, but I'm not sharing that with anyone yet.
Okay. Thank you. That's really exciting, actually. So thank you. Currently in the series, I know that you've said that you have book 6 plotted, book 5 is being edited. But out of all the books in the Mort and Pig series so far, which is your favorite and why?
I honestly don't know how to answer that, because I really enjoy each one. I have 2 daughters and a good friend who I give the books to read before it goes to the editing, and they were unanimous that book 5's the best one yet. So
Okay.
I guess I get wrapped up in each book as I write it. You read it so many times, you get very familiar with it. So, and then sometimes, unlike many passionate readers, I can go back and reread books, and I do that every now and then. I'll go back and read book 3 and, oh, well, that was a great story. And I'll be honest, I marveled that I wrote it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. It sounds like the series is going to get better and better. So from what you've just said, I'm really excited about it. So thank you.
Well, I've got an editor that keeps hitting me around the head with a block of 4x2 trying to make me change, so I use better English and better structure. And so hopefully some of that sinks in, and the books should improve and flow and things as I keep going. So
Brilliant. Thank you.
Hope you're listening, Katrina.
And my final question is, do you have a specific character who is your favorite and a character you dislike within your books?
Sorry, I missed the second half of that.
Do you have a favorite character, and do you have a character that you dislike? Or do you want to stay loyal? You don't want to push anyone out. You love them all equally.
No, I don't love them all. There's characters I write in there to be the villain, and you can't love every villain. So, but I guess equally I enjoy Mort and Pig. I shouldn't say as one unit, but as the combination and the interaction between the two, I think is. And I'll be honest, I enjoy writing the interaction between Morton and Susie as well. So, I guess that's a big part of the fun to me.
Good. Brilliant. Thank you.
Excellent. Brief pause just to check in on everyone who's rolling in. We can see a couple of new faces, which is excellent. Thank you everyone for joining us today on the Q&A. If you're still coming in live, you're very much welcome to grab a cup of coffee, Mort style, and sit in with us and keep those comments coming in, because we are answering as many questions as we can on this live Q&A today. So thank you so much for joining us. Nina, please carry on.
Yeah, so I've got another question for you, which is, do you have any of your characters based on real life people? Or is that another secret?
Well, it goes to the challenge I'm going to give to readers later on, but I might as well put it out there now. There is a character in book 4, I know you haven't read book 4, which is based on me in my day job.
Okay.
And the challenge to everyone is there's a prize for the reader who identifies the name of that character and what page he first appears on. And I'll tell you what the prize is at the end of the conversation. Okay. And yes, there with that, me being in there, there's 2 of my actual colleagues in there as well. And I have been known to put other people I know in there, and I'll tell you a funny story. I hope you don't mind. I've got a neighbour who's a former Canadian and a retired lawyer, and he quite enjoys the books. And after I gave him book 2, and he said, "Am I in it?" And I said, "No." So I wrote him into book 3, and he didn't even recognise himself. For anyone from Canada or knows Canada, Tim Hortons is a Canadian coffee house, sort of their version of Starbucks, if you like, different. But and I used his correct name, and his dog was Rusty, and that was the name. So he was a retired lawyer at Tim Hortons with his faithful dog Rusty, and he didn't recognise himself. So I teased him about it later in public to embarrass him, and just said that lawyers are meant to be across the detail, and you didn't even recognise yourself. So.
Brilliant.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing, John. And a big thank you, Marcia, for hosting the first part of the Q&A. We have thoroughly enjoyed your pivotal questions. And for anyone who would like to follow along, Nina and her journey, you can join us on Instagram at A.J Wilton. And you can also keep those questions rolling in on the Facebook Live through the questions and comments below. So moving on, we are delighted to also introduce another winner of the last read along, which was Marcia, and she has dropped in a few questions as well to contribute to the live Q&A. So with that said, while she wasn't able to join us, we are delighted to share a few of these little insights, which I'm sure will keep John on his toes. So one of the first questions that was submitted was, for you, John, what inspired the concept behind You Killed My Wife, the very first of the series?
I guess it goes back to the answer to the first question. This story that I use my brain to turn off work. And certainly I didn't think up a title and then start writing a book. The titles generally come to me whilst I'm writing the book, and it's sort of that's how it tends to work out. So yeah, not really a good answer, but that's the best I can offer.
That's a good starting point, yes. So thankfully we've got some other questions.
And sorry, just for the record, I've been married to my wife for 46 years, and she's still alive. Thank you.
That's a great one. Thanks, John. Yes. So the other question we had was, what was the inspiration behind creating the characters, which you've also already answered. So potentially as a follow-up to that question, we would love to know, has writing always been something you've always wanted to do?
The answer to that is no. Until I decided to put those stories down, as I said earlier, back in early 2020, I had no interest in being a writer. I enjoy reading similar stories to what I write, but no. And in fact, when I gave the first book to a good friend of mine, he looked at me and said, "John, you're the least literary person I know." I'm still not sure if that's a compliment or not, but yeah, so yeah.
I think it's what we call backhanded compliments.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's a compliment at all, Catherine, to be honest, but
thank you for sharing. Yes, and another question which we had submitted was, what can we expect to see in the next book?
You'll need to read it to find out.
Excellent. Just the type of cryptic response we would expect. Thank you. Yes. And then we also had another question in regards to a comment that said, it's really interesting to see all the Australian and American places named and described in the books. Are there any other places we could expect to see Mort and the gang pop up? England is an all right place for crime.
You'll have to wait and see.
Very exciting. Mort might be going on.
As a teaser, yes, and the UK is on the agenda.
Very exciting. Yes, I'm sure.
Well, to be fair, the Scotland got mentioned in book 3 as well, so in a subplot or whatever you call it. But I'm looking for a bit of confusion on Nina's face there. Maybe I'll have a question for Nina. Where was the storyline in Scotland based?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I want to say it was to do with one of the other specific character, but I'm not sure. That is one I'll have to flick back through the book in a minute and check.
All right, Catherine, you claim to have read it.
It's basically non-existent from my memory. I'd have to check in case I missed it, but I feel like I would recall something like that. So yes, good trick question.
Uncle Albert saved a woman on the top of Ben Lomond, the highest mountain in the UK.
I knew it was Uncle Albert. Can I just say that when I said it's probably to do with one of the characters, I was like, I think it's Uncle Albert. So I'd like to save myself from not knowing the answer.
I'll give you half a mark.
Thank you.
You're redeemed, Nina.
Catherine, you're in minus.
In my defense, it's been a while, and the latest book is fresh in my mind. But yes. Well, that's a great challenge for all of you who are joining us on this live today. Did you get the right answer? And if not, what was your second best guess? Keep them coming. So with that said, we have reached the end of the questions that were submitted by both our lovely read-along hosts. And so we're now delighted to open up the floor to any of you who are watching us live today or who would like to submit some comments and questions for A.J Wilton. So just a reminder, you can submit the comments via Facebook in the comments below, or you can do it via Instagram and tag us at A.J Wilton via Instagram. So we have our eyes peeled and we'll keep those rolling in. Please do allow a few minutes because there usually is a slight lag, but nevertheless, we are excited to see those coming through. So first and foremost, we did have a question earlier from Gina, who wanted to know what is next in the Mortice series, and can you give us any hints as to what's to come in 2025?
Okay, my program is to write 2 books a year for the next 3 years, which is in 2025 will be book 5 and 6, book 7 and 8 in 26, and 9 and 10 in 2027. After that, I'm not saying that's the end because it won't be, but so yeah, 28 will be at least one more. And just there's a lot of time involved in writing because, well, the way I write anyway is that, you know, the storyline just flows and then you've got to fact check yourself, and I do it myself with Mr. Google's help if I'm not sure of something. So you're going back and then you're going to stop for a cup of coffee, so you Google where there's a cafe so you can actually make it a real one. And one of the things I'd like to do one day is to have a coffee crawl around Brisbane, all the cafes that Mort's visited, and somehow get a little stamp or seal or something. But anyway, that's something for down the track. So that's the plan for the next few years, as well as working full time, of course. So.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. And why stop at coffee? He's visited hotels, iconic venues. The world is Mort's oyster.
Yeah, and I guess that's something about book 3, based initially in Canada and then in the States. It was a pleasure to me, and that was a bit of a what do they call it, a drive down memory lane, because the Canadian section, because that's the favourite part of the world of mine, is the Canadian Rockies. So I might have got a bit carried away with the praise in there, and New York, Washington, those. I've been there. I've done all the tourist things there, and so it is familiar. But even like I think back to that storyline in New York where they set up the where Pig became the hobo. I spent hours searching streets in New York on Google Maps trying to find somewhere that could be used for that purpose. And so I can't even remember the name of the street now. If you walk down that street where they did that, you'll find that little gate and the tree and everything is exactly as it says in the book. So there's a lot of time wasted, if you like, in getting those little details right.
That's very fascinating. I'm sure the readers would be delighted to know that they could visit some of these iconic locations. Thank you for sharing. So we do have one other question. Rumor has it that Mortice Hammerdown, there is a character in the book that is actually you, and now that's been confirmed. This is a very clever writing device, and it's known for many of us. And one of the things that we find so compelling about this is people are now given the chance to reread the books and try and discover who this mysterious character could be. Do you have any hints that you could share on who is the you inside the books?
No. But if you worthy of the title detective, there is easy ways on social media to identify who I am in real life, which should make it quite easy from there. Excellent. So is that a big enough hint, Nina?
Yep, challenge accepted. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What time frame do we give you for an answer?
I will.
Oh, you haven't got the book yet. Sorry,
I haven't read the book yet. But as soon as I do, then yeah, I will. Honestly, I look forward to checking and seeing who you are in one of the characters. So thank you.
Excellent answer. Thank you. So we've got just under 5 minutes left. Keep those questions rolling. We are thrilled by everyone who has showed up so far. And just as a recap, in case you can't make the actual live for the questions, please do continue to submit your questions across both the Instagram channel and Facebook, as well as via email. And we will do our best to nudge John to answer them as well. So without further ado, I wanted to take a second to thank the lovely Nina for joining us again today to be a special host. For those of you who would like to join us in the next read along, we do a special call out as long as you're subscribed to our email list. So you can simply visit ajwilton.com and then sign up to the email list to get notified of the next read along. And these are very special experiences where each of the dedicated readers act as detectives to dive in and discuss the books in length. And we get some special tidbits and insights from none other than A.J Wilton himself. So this is an excellent opportunity to not only go into the running to be the next host, but also to win an Amazon gift card as a thank you for participating in the books. And you get a copy of the book as well. So if you're interested in participating, please do subscribe to the A.J Wilton newsletter. So with all that said, big thank you, Nina, for joining us today. For those of you who would like to engage with Nina further, you can follow her at NLC Craig Writes on Instagram, and we'll be sure to be in touch for the next round. And also a big thank you to Marsha from It's a Book Thing 2021. You can also follow her on Instagram. We are both so grateful for everything you've contributed in the past read-alongs, and we can't wait to have you along for the next one.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Nina and Marsha. Appreciate your support.
So, John, that leaves us with a big thank you to you for attending once again with the latest Q&A. We know that there will be plenty more questions rolling in over the coming days. Did you have any last messages that you wanted to leave the readers and the avid fans of the series?
Yeah, just as I said earlier, in book 4, I'm one of the characters in the book and my day job. So, Catherine, you'll need to confirm how they submit their answers. What I want is the page that the character first appears and the name of that character. And if we get more than, and I know one reader has already identified me, and congratulations, Maria, you're the only one to do. Even my own daughters didn't recognise me. So, so well done. Maria does have an advantage. She's known me for over 20 years, so I guess but the prize will be, you can nominate yourself or a good friend to become a character in a future book. And so I'd need to know the name you want and a couple of things about you. So if it's you or your friend, so that I can put that into the book, so you say, that's me.
That's incredible. Best prize.
And I'm writing book 6 at the moment, so ideally it'll go straight into book 6. So there you go. There's an opportunity for you to be famous.
Love that. Love that.
Very exciting. Thank you so much, John. Well, that's it, everyone. You heard it here first. There's a chance that you could be featured in book 6. All you need to do is grab book 4 of the Mortice series and try and identify who could A.J Wilton's character be within the book, and then claim the correct page number and submit it to us via the newsletter. So stay tuned for more details on that. But we're so delighted at this exciting prize and a great twist to wrap up the live Q&A. Thank you, John.
My pleasure. And thank you all for reading. And I'll be honest, I don't do this for the money. I do it because I get a lot of pleasure out of the feedback you people, you readers, give me the reviews and such like. This is a story I've repeated before, but I got such a thrill some time ago now where I got a phone call from a lady and she said, John, I'm 95 years old and you're keeping me up past midnight. I'm reading your book and I can't put it down. And I thought, what a lovely thing. To me, that just makes it all worthwhile. So please keep that feedback coming. I only accept good feedback, by the way.
Fair enough. Well, we'll definitely keep that in mind, and we're excited to continue reading your questions and feedback. A big thank you, everyone, for your time today. That brings us to a close, but it won't be long before we're here again. So we'll leave it at that for now, and we'll take it from here.
Thank you again. Bye.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.